Well, we're in the beautiful Hangar 42 here in Blackpool. This Spitfire behind me, of course, they're taking such a crucial role on this day 85 years ago. John Coombes, who's the director here, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Give us the significance of what today was 85 years ago.
Yeah, Battle of Britain Day was the 15th of September 1940, was Goering's last chance to break the Royal Air Force, and really for the RAF was a key turning point for Great Britain. If we'd have lost the battle today, then Operation Sea Lion and the invasion of England would have taken place.
And tell us the significance of where we are in Hangar 42 in Blackpool. What is the significance of where we are this morning?
Well, the Spitfire Visitor Centre, or Hangar 42 at Blackpool Airport, this was the very first hangar built in May 1939. So when we had the idea that the war was coming, they hurriedly converted RAF Squires Gate, as we know it now, to from a horse racing track to an operational airfield. Blackpool was also turned into RAF Station Blackpool, and in the rest of the war it would become Europe's biggest military training establishment.
So a lot of this place is original as well as it would have been back in 1940, and of course you've got such a collection of planes here. You know, this Spitfire behind me, we've got a Hurricane in the corner. These are the planes which defended Britain. They
were, and certainly here at Blackpool we'd have had the Hawker Hurricane operating from here during the Battle of Britain, and the Bolton Paul Defiant, which is often not talked about at all. So in this very hangar, 256 Squadron, 308 Squadron and various ground training courses were taking place, certainly through the Battle of Britain and then the run up to the Blitz.
And a new poll out today showing that 2/3 of people under 40 don't really even know what the Battle of Britain is. Is that concerning for you? I guess that stresses the importance of places like this existing for people to come and see.
It is concerning, and one of the key reasons we're here is for education. Now, we have a very good primary school education programme here, and a lot of the Blackpool and Fylde Coast schools do come here. But it is concerning because if we think about how the world is today, if we forget about the struggles of the past, then there's a generation sleepwalking into problems in the future. So I think what we try and do here is keep the building as original as it is, and the realities of fighting on the ground as well as in the air during the Battle of Britain and the whole of World War II as well. So we tell a range of stories here, and I think it is very, very important that these private museums like this are supported, because if we lose them, we lose them for good.
You've caught me mid-flight. We're in the Hangar 42, and I have really got into the spirit. Of course, 85 years ago today, the war really started to turn in Britain's favour with Battle of Britain Day, as what we are commemorating today. And I've got dressed up as a pilot, sitting in an actual real-life Spitfire. This is not just a simulator. This is a real-life Spitfire that's been kitted out to do simulations here at the Spitfire Centre in Blackpool. John Puttock joins us now. You're the engineering lead here. And this is quite a fancy bit of kit, and really, I guess, you know, lets people experience what those pilots would have done 85 years ago today.
Absolutely. This aeroplane, you know, is part of the hangar display here at Blackpool, and Andy Harper, our specialist, actually put this aeroplane together and has enabled it to act and behave exactly like a real aircraft would. And you know, it's available to the public to come up and have a go and see if they can fly a Spitfire.
And tell us about the significance of this aircraft 85 years ago today, the Battle of Britain. Things start to turn in Britain's favour.
Absolutely. This is a Mark V Spitfire. Early days they were using the Mark II, and that aircraft had 8 Browning machine guns firing 303 bullets. This Mark V actually incorporated some 20mm Hispano cannons, and so gave the aircraft a lot more punch and enabled it to be more successful.
And I've got all of this gear on. A lot of it is kind of fur and real thermal stuff. That's because the temperature up there at the height, at the altitude that they were flying, was absolutely freezing.
Absolutely. I mean, the higher you go, then obviously the colder it gets. But if you're at around about 25,000 feet, you're going to be experiencing temperatures of between minus 25 and 30. There is no heating in the aircraft, so from that point of view, the only way you're going to stay warm is to dress for it. So, as the Queen once said, there's no such thing as the wrong weather, it's just the wrong clothing. You're sat there, you're movement will be restricted by the fact that you've got all this clothing on, but if you didn't have that on, you would soon freeze to death.
So how incredible then were these pilots to not only obviously be wearing all this kit, it's a tight squeeze as it is, so to wearing all this kit, but then actually having to face the Luftwaffe, having to face those Messerschmitts flying over British skies. That was a real difficult job.
Absolutely, when you consider the fact that most pilots were aged between 19 and 21, and very young men, but carried out their duties spectacularly. Had we not been successful in the Battle of Britain, then the world would be a totally different place today.
And the polling out today showing that 2/3 of adults under 40 don't even sometimes know what the Battle of Britain is. But to come here, I guess, and experience something like this, it's all about education, whether it's an older generation, whether it's a younger generation. So much is about education.
Absolutely. And as John, our leader, said earlier on, we do educational tours. We take a lot of school children in. I think we do around about 60 of the schools that are in the local location. Manchester, down further south, come here and they will learn about the Battle of Britain, and we aim at the hangar to keep those memories alive.
All right, John, thank you so much for joining us. Just hearing there, amazing what these pilots had to go through, the kind of equipment and the gear that they had to operate and wear. It is quite incredible to think of the job and the task that they were faced with 85 years ago, and how successful they were. But if you don't mind me, I've got to go back to defending the skies.
And do you know what, Jack? I just, the thing that amazes me is the average age of those pilots. We're talking about 19 or 20 years of age.
Well, quite, and that's you kind of think people leave school at that age now. At that age, 85 years ago, they were jumping into Spitfires, training in places here like Blackpool, ready to go and fight the Luftwaffe. And not only the skill that would require, but also the bravery to go up into the skies where they might not have ever been before, and take on, and conduct those dogfights that are so famous in the Battle of Britain. Quite incredible to think that they were able to do that. Well, we're here in the Spitfire Visitor Centre in Blackpool. This hangar was built in 1939. It's the only original hangar left here at the airfield. Behind me is a beautiful Hurricane. Of course, they were key to the Battle of Britain's success. I want to bring in Paul Lomax, who's one of the founding members. Paul, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Just tell us about the role that 85 years ago the Hurricane was playing in the Battle of Britain.
Well, as you rightly said, the Battle of Britain was hard won and fought. The Hawker Hurricane was the aircraft that did, as you mentioned, 75% or more of the kills. This Hurricane behind me is a Mark 1 and now has been fully restored. It has a lot of original parts on and replica parts, but during the Battle of Britain, the Hurricane was tasked with shooting down the twin-engine German Heinkel 111 bomber, because that one was slower. This aircraft was slower, so perfect match to go and do that. The pilots had to go up several times a day, as we know, and that. But the Hurricane was far more adaptable, as well as having bombs that attached to it as rolls were improved and rockets fired on it.
Well, and of course, the danger that these pilots would have had to have gone through,
yes.
Such a short life expectancy because of the danger that they were facing from those incoming German bombers.
You could only have like a couple of weeks, until you're shot down or you're horribly maimed, unfortunately, But the Hurricane during the Battle of Britain was far easier to go and repair than what Spitfires were, because the Hurricane is half metal, the rest of it is wooden canvas. So easy to repair, faster to go and repair. And you could go and fire like all your 4 Brownings in each wing to shoot down a German bomber, and that.
Well, Paul, that is absolutely fascinating. Thank you to Paul for his knowledge, of that Hurricane. I mean, there's Spitfires all around us here as well in Hangar 42 in Blackpool. It's quite an incredible place to spend Battle of Britain Day, because you can just feel and see and touch all around here, those very planes that would have been defending the skies 85 years ago.
Fascinating. And Will Godley, let's talk to Will Godley, who's in Kent. Will, morning. Well, morning, Andrew. It's very windy here. It's already scuppered some of our plans. We were due to have a fly past of historic aircraft like some of the ones Jack's with this morning, but that's been cancelled today because the wind is so strong. But there's still going to be a service taking place today at 11 o'clock and 2 minutes silence held as well here, remembering the sacrifice made by the pilots, the gunmen and the other airmen who would have been flying in planes like these behind me. Famously, of course, called The Few, after Winston Churchill made a speech 85 years ago where he said, "Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few." Well, they're who will be remembering today at this service. Also, Sir Keith Park, who has been branded a mastermind of the success of the Battle of Britain, one of the Air Chief Marshals looking after the airspace here where I am in Kent. He'll be honoured, and some of his family members will be here as well to pay respects to him. Well, I'm joined now by Dilip Sarkar, historian, expert on the Battle of Britain and honorary patron here as well. Dilip, this is a Battle of Britain day. We're remembering the Battle of Britain today. Why was today so important 85 years ago?
Well, today was the culmination of 2 months of fighting, and in particular a week of very heavy attacks on London. And the losses today really convinced Hitler that the invasion wasn't going to happen. So 2 days later he postponed it, and then on the 12th of October postponed it indefinitely. So today was really the day that flagged up the fact that the Luftwaffe would not prevail.
And there was a huge number of Luftwaffe flying to Britain, over 1,000 85 years ago today. Took Hitler by surprise that Britain won today because their pilots were far more experienced, weren't they?
Well, they were, and their air chief, Hermann Goering, was supremely overconfident, was the problem. And the Germans suffered from terrible intelligence during the Battle of Britain, so their strategy was really misplaced anyway. But at the end of the day, it was down to RAF Fighter Command, RAF Bomber Command too, who were attacking the invasion barges and airfields across the Channel. It was a collective effort, and a lot of the pilots, they were 18, 19, 20, very, very young. So, you know, they deserve to be remembered.
Certainly do, Dilip. Thank you so much for joining GB News. One of those pilots, of course, was John Hemingway, who died earlier this year at the age of 105, the last surviving member of the Few. And the organisers of the service here tell me that's why today, this anniversary, holds particular significance and poignance, the first anniversary where there aren't any surviving members of the Few. And another reason why it's so important to carry that legacy on, as new research today reveals that 2/3 of under 40 don't know what happened 85 years ago in the skies above Britain, and why Robert Jenrick is calling for the Battle of Britain to be on compulsory curriculum across the United Kingdom to keep that legacy going, and reminding everyone why still 85 years on we owe so much to the Few.